Hey everybody, today I'm going to do something that's kind of unsouthern, but let's not tell anybody. Shh. I actually have been craving some pulled pork tacos. I made these at the Super Bowl party, if you've been following me that long, and they pulled pork tacos and they were delicious. So usually Sean does the pulled pork outside on the grill, and that's how you're supposed to truly do it. But for those of you that don't have access to an outside grill, you can actually do this in your slow cooker. So again, if you know me and you've been following, I don't use a slow cooker very often. So this is a little rare treat for you, okay? So I went to the store this morning. I was looking for a shoulder blade roast, and they had them, but they were huge, and the butcher was nowhere to be found to cut it down to a smaller size. So I'm going to do something my mother kind of did. Now, she never made pulled pork, but she did use a pork loin and kind of shred it a little bit. So I guess it kind of was pulled pork. So I've got a pork loin that's about 3 pounds. And I have got some garlic, some fresh garlic. I love that smell. Fresh garlic. I'm gonna rub it all over. And then I also did some salt and pepper in a little dish. That way I don't contaminate, because I know myself too well. I'm gonna be in and out of that little salt and pepper jar. So this way I don't contaminate what's left in the jar. And then some good old cumin. And we're just gonna put it in the crock pot. And the crock pot's set on high and we're gonna let it cook for about 6 hours. So I have rinsed this bad boy off, and I have also patted it a little bit dry. So I'm gonna start with putting some salt and pepper on here and just kind of massaging that in. I'm gonna do the same thing with my cumin. Yeah, we use a lot of cumin here, as you can see by this size of that jar. And be sure and get my sides really well. I hope they don't take my Southern badge away for doing this. But, you know, now this side has got a fat cap on it, and I wanted the fat cap because what that does is that's going to give me some good juices down in there and some flavor down in here that I wanted. And I will cook this fat side up, so fat side facing up, so that way all those juices will run down through the meat. So that's what I want. So let's give it another good pat, good seasoning. Yum. Put this back over. And we're going to rub in some of this garlic. And I'm just rubbing this garlic in. Like I said before on many posts, we love us some garlic. I think that's why we have no vampires in here. Remember that old saying from when you was a kid? We used to come home from school. I'm going to age myself. We used to come home from school and watch Dark Shadows with Barnabas, the vampire. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's going to be good enough. And now, like I said, I'm just going to stick this back side up inside my crock pot, which is already set on high. Let me rinse my hands here just a minute. Towel. Okay. And then I have 3 tablespoons of orange juice and 1 tablespoon of lime juice. Now this acidity is going to help tenderize the meat, your acidity in your juices. That's why you see a lot of marinades with juices, because that acidity is what breaks down the protein and the fibers in the meat, causing it to be tender. Okay, so I'm just going to pour that right over top. There we go. And that is it, y'all. That is it. And I'll put the lid on it. And we're going to cook this bad boy for about 6 hours. So it is 11:30 now, so at 5:30 I'll be taking this off and I'll be shredding it. Okay, I'll see you here back then. Thanks so much. Okay, we are back, and I'm finishing up my pork loin that I'm going to turn into pulled pork. I know a pork loin is not what you normally would want to use, a cut that you'd want to use, but it'll do in a pinch. Okay, all right, so this has been cooking about 6 hours, okay, on high, and I'm ready to bring it off and start cutting it up. I actually tested it before I brought you on board here. So I'm going to pull it out, and normally I do this in the, oh wow, it's falling apart. Oh, that's kind of good, isn't it? Normally I do this in the slow cooker. But basically, all you want to do to pull this thing apart, and most of you already know this, is just use one fork, pull it apart. Dump it back in your sauce, because you've got some wonderful juices in there. And then now what I'm going to do, and the recipe that I'm using doesn't call for this, but I am actually putting it back in the juices, and I'm going to keep it on high for just a little bit longer, because that's going to help it incorporate more flavors and things of that nature. Okay? Oh, hubby's home. I'll be back in just a little bit. Thanks so much. Okay, hubby's home, dog settled down. I stopped filming because I knew with her daddy coming home, it was going to be loud, and y'all couldn't hear anything I was saying. So they have to have their moment. She misses her daddy terribly when he's at work. So anyway, so you see that I have shredded up all of this pork. And now let's put it back in our pot. And we're just going to let that simmer for about 30 minutes or so, and it will be perfect. Okay, all right, let me get another pot holder and hold this up so you can see what it looks like. There we go. Now you see why my sister sent me pot holders. See, that's in pretty bad shape, but I've had it I don't know how many years. Anyway. So anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about, excuse me getting in front of the camera, I wanted to talk to you about a recipe that has been in my family for, close to, let's see, probably 25 years or longer. And I think I've talked about this before in a previous post when we did Sean's pulled pork version. Let me put the lid back on this. When we did Sean's pulled pork version, this is a homemade North Carolina vinegar-based barbecue sauce. And there was a gentleman that was one of my son's scout leaders that was famous in our area for his barbecue sauce. And it took us several years and several tries, but we finally got him to give up the recipe. This is 75% vinegar. I got to look at the recipe. 75% vinegar, 25% water, a splash of Texas Pete, a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, a tablespoon of ketchup, and then just put in a pinch of ground red pepper. Be careful because it will turn hot in a minute. And just give it a shake. It will stay like this for weeks because there's nothing in it that's going to spoil. So this I made fresh to go with this pulled pork. But there you go. There is a recipe from a local barbecue champion of the North Carolina vinegar sauce, which we totally love in our household. Matter of fact, my son has in Florida has adapted this recipe and made a few little modifications, and he actually bottled it. And gave it as gifts, which is a great idea. I've told him he needs to actually go ahead and sell it. It's that good. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. Maybe this will give you an idea. Yes, I do use my slow cooker from time to time, and we're going to have a nice meal tonight. I'm going to do my pulled pork tacos. where we just actually take a tortilla shell, put the pulled pork on top, a little bit of this barbecue sauce, and then put some slaw on top of it, just coleslaw, your choice, and then sprinkle a little bit of fresh cilantro on it. So good. We did these at the Super Bowl, so go back to January's post and you will find it. Okay? So remember, 2 bites. Got to take 2 bites. And these are good. These are 2 good bites. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.